Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I'm excited for today's episode. So excited. We got to get right into it. Let's bring on my co-host with the most, this Big O. What's up, Big O?
Bay Holiday. What's
Hey, good morning.
happening,
How are
man?
you?
I'm good. You missed a good pre-show celebration over here, man. We're so excited. We got Chef Kristi Brown, that black brown girl cooks communion restaurant. She's going to be joining us here in a little bit. Hey, you know what? I don't think we've ever done this. If we have, we maybe done it once or twice. We're dedicating the majority of our show to celebrate and uplift Chef Kristi Brown, Damon Bomar, Communion Restaurant and Bar, the Liberty Bank Building. Man, this is just a great day for celebration here on the Morning Update Show.
I love it, man. I knew it. I woke up this morning with all the vitality and energy needed to take us through this episode. I am so pumped because anytime that we can uplift and celebrate the wins and beauty in our community, I love that we do that. So I'm ready for it. Oh.
All right, so we're gonna breeze through a few of the headlines, although we're gonna sit and discuss about Governor Inslee. But a few things wanted to bring up. Bobby Stills was over there at Cal Anderson Park this morning. Remember, I told you the city came yesterday with several officers and said that the park will be swept tomorrow. But what's happened over there is that I'll put in some of these is that residents in the park have now begun to build a barricade. And so there's a barricade actually going up around parts of Cal Anderson Park. This will be real interesting, like fencing there, some everything else. It'll be real interesting tomorrow to see how it plays out. Of course, there's people, the city, of course, and the SPD and everybody else, Seattle Parks, they want to clear the park out. There's a lot of homeless people there, transitional people that are living there. There's also a lot of people that are supporting them as well. Looks like it's going to go into a standoff tomorrow, but we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen these sweeps go multiple ways in the past. Again, I know that so many of our audience, so much of them are probably going to want to know how it goes down tomorrow. So I'm glad that we're uplifting this because we know it can go either way. Oh,
yeah. Well, let's just hope it goes the right way for everybody. Yeah. And we'll continue to follow. I think actually during the Morning Update show tomorrow, Bobby will be up there at Cal Anderson Park live. So we'll see what happens. I was on a press conference earlier this morning with Mayor Durkin, with Tim Lennon from Langston Hughes, with Randy Engstrom from Arts and Culture, and a few other people. The city of Seattle today, it's been 40 years since they've had a new PDA, and they've created a new PDA, and it's called the Seattle Cultural Space Agency. And so, yeah, space is in space and not outer space. But basically, this is a PDA all about building space for artists, cultural space, things like that. So you can imagine with this PDA, it could be transfer of a building. So maybe a property gets transferred and it's repurposed to where it's like artist lofts or things like that. It could be current use of a building like the second floor there at King Street Station. It could be purchasing land and taking that land and developing space for artists and things like that. So brand new PDA. The mayor said, and the people there on the press conference said that they're targeting communities of color and artists that have been displaced from the city. You know, it's tough to be an artist and live here in the city. You know, it didn't like back in the day. Like you don't work, you don't eat.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's why all of these different types of collaborations are so needed in the artist community. I think that, when we see something like 38 years and they're just now doing another PDA, there's been a lot of history with PDAs in the Black community in particular. So I'm happy that there's a real direct target on artistry and folks that are of the global majority, because that is so needed right now, man. Artists, business owners, so many people hit hard. I love seeing that there's going to be kind of this is going to be like an intermediary. And I had some mixed views. I was like, well, PDAs are kind of, they're quasi-governmental. The mayor put some people on these PDAs, but ultimately we want to see real wins in the community. And this may be one way to do so.
Right. Well, this particular PDA was definitely driven by community Tim Lennon over there at Langston Hughes, one of the key drivers of it. Quite a few other people from the Central District actually that are on this PDA, and one of their big focuses is making sure that artists in our community and the Seattle community as a whole, they have a space. So, and one of the main things they said is the key word is authority. And the last word in PDA. And so they have the authority to be able to do quite a few things autonomously. So we'll see what happens here. Just an interesting headline. I'll pop over it real quick. I saw this last year. Amazon made enough plastic air pillows to encircle the globe 500 times, the report says. I know everybody, well, not everybody, especially people watching over here, but a good number of people are ordering all this stuff. It's a lot of waste that comes with it. Enough plastic pillows to go around the circle the globe 500 times.
Yeah, and this is where you have to get inventive because, again, you know, we talk about a lot of the impacts of climate change and how they really affect communities of color. Once again, the global majority, a lot of the times, are the ones that are the most affected by a lot of the negative impacts of climate change. And so when we think about waste, globally, we need to be thinking about what we're doing with all of those packages. I agree. Oh, there's a lot of waste, a lot of things being ordered, you know, especially with people being more and more indoors. So, you know, I'm hoping that we find some creative ways to utilize that, because we need to create ecosystems that are very closed off in that regard, that have cyclical uses of material so that we can really help the planet.
Yeah, as you might remember, you know, I graduated in degree in geology and minor in environmental science. And so like stories like this always gets my ears up, man. We talk about impacts.
Oh, man.
So before we go forward, I just want to remind people, make sure and tag, share. Like I said, we got a great episode in store here. Make sure and share this across your page. Share this with a friend, tag, so forth. You know, we're just excited over here. Let me move forward. Governor Inslee sat in on this press conference. Like, man, this is how I spend all my time these days. You can find this here at the South Seattle Emerald. Inslee announces $365 million in equity budgeting for 2021. So Governor Inslee, and we'll play a clip here of the governor. Matter of fact, let me go down here. Let's play the clip first, and then we'll come back here and we can discuss the governor and what he proposes.
Today, we are committing to make investments to help all Washington communities thrive, especially communities of color that have been marginalized for too long, which is why I'm proposing a budget that includes $365 million of equity-related policies and budget items. One of the things we can do is to make a firm statement. And we intend to do so by supporting legislation that will make Juneteenth an official legal holiday in the state of Washington. Observing June 19th as Juneteenth will recognize the significance of America's history of slavery, the vestiges of which continue in the oppression from institutional racism that remain today. So today I'm proposing $2.5 million to fully fund our state's equity office. So I'm also requesting legislation that will recreate another office, the Office of Independent Investigations. The legislation will see that investigations of police use of force and prosecutions are conducted fairly, transparently, thoroughly, and through an anti-racism lens. I'm also supporting legislation with Insurance Commissioner Mike Kreidler that would ban the use of credit scoring in auto, homeowner, renter, and boat insurance rate considerations. This bill addresses systemic racism within the credit system, which disproportionately affects communities of color. People with poor credit are expected to pay more than twice as much as those with excellent credit, and often they still pay more even than someone with excellent credit whose rate went up for being charged with a DWI. Finally, today I'm proposing new equity investments in our capital budget, including formation of grants investing in community-based organizations that serve ethnically diverse communities, to create an equity committee to develop strategy for equitable investing and policy, looking at individual and community needs of underserved populations.
All right. So there's the governor right there. The governor, long list of things. Proposes that Office of Independent Investigation, Juneteenth holiday, fund a new equity office, ban insurance companies from using credit scores, invest in environmental justice, increase minority contractors, support financial literacy, equitable grant process, capital projects. He's also put in $13.8 million for Africatown Community Land Trust to purchase the Cairo space, and $1 million for McKinney Center, which people know as SBI. Also something in there for foster children and things to bridge the digital divide. The governor came out with a laundry list yesterday, Trey Holiday.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is exactly why we talk about Washington being a leader. Ultimately, we have to have direct investment in all of these sectors that Governor Inslee laid out, because we do need to have real balance. And this is what equity means. Equity is about ownership. It's about sense of agency. I love, obviously, the highlight of community-based organizations, because again, we're seeing that really when people on the ground have solutions and they have the resources, we can begin to really activate those solutions in our communities and bring real change, sustainable change to our particular community. So for me, I love hearing this. And, you know, come on, I gotta say, the Cairo site is a huge win for ACLT, Africatown Community Land Trust. It's a huge win for the community because, again, the ideas and the design of that space is really about benefiting all of community. So I love this budget. Obviously, I'm excited because ACLT has worked really hard to try to make sure that the community understands what we want to do with that space in that building. So again, as we begin to acquire more and more land, we know that we can do and bring the solutions to our community that are needed. So I'm just elated when I hear this. It's definitely needed.
So Triana, you got me over there, are you? There we go. So Triana, Governor Inslee yesterday did something I never heard any public official. I never heard Mayor Durkin here in the city of Seattle. And in very few heads, we hear people in city council sometimes here in Seattle, but I've never heard downtown the mayor's office say, is someone who was murdered locally when in a police shooting. When Governor Inslee talked about his Office of Independent Investigations, he mentioned Manuel Ellis by name. You know, I mean, the guys are good for being like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and they never talk about anything here. We've never really hear people talk about Charlene Lyles and John T. Williams. So, Mayor, the governor yesterday, that was something that perked my ears up. I actually tweeted about it, that he mentioned Manuel Ellis by name, city of Tacoma.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I'm talking about when we say, be connected to issues that are right here locally, that you actually have the power to control. I agree, Mari. Again, to hear him mention Manuel Ellis by name, I mean, this is what we need. We need to continue to uplift these stories because that family is still looking for answers. And there are so many families looking for answers. Every time I think about these countless cases, I always want to uplift Michael Ealy, because Michael Ealy is someone that was in police custody. He was, a person that was over by Dexter Avenue, over by the Space Needle. And for some odd reason, 3 hours after he was picked up from the police, he was dropped off at Harborview and he was dead. These are stories that, there's so many families that are still searching for answers. His mom has gone to court 3 times to try to get that officer prosecuted for her son's death, and to no avail. So we have to uplift these stories. We have to continue to do so. And I love that Governor Inslee did that.
Right. And I'll say that this is Governor Inslee that's proposed. He's making announcements throughout the rest of the week. We expect some big announcements from him probably today, tomorrow, but Thursday. But also, this is his proposed budget, and we're a state that's in a pandemic. So, just because he's proposing it doesn't necessarily mean this laundry list of things here is actually going to come out. It's going to take some lobbying down there at the state capitol for these funds to be released. especially in what's going on right now here in the state. But he came out. This is what he said. You know, the thing is with the governor, and we'll move on here quickly. Got one more story before we go to break. Is that Governor Inslee is interesting. He's been now there. This is going into his 9th year. And, you know, it's fine. Things are moving along. But it's like, bruv, this is your 9th year. And it isn't like Governor Inslee hasn't seen all these things that has occurred to Black people his whole life. As we always talk about, his late father, Frank Inslee, was an assistant coach at Garfield High School. The 1954-55 Bulldogs won a state championship. Governor Inslee himself went to Ingram High School, played in the Metro League. He spent a career around here, you know, in the state of Washington. He's seen this. Why now? So is it George Floyd? You've been in office 9. This is going on your 2 terms. Now, I mean, sure, it's now better. They have a saying, better late in this world than early for the next. But I'm just curious, you know, it's taken all this time. And like I said, by the time Governor Inslee ends this term, Democrats would have been in office in the State House for 40 years. It's just something to think about. Moving along here to our next story here. I talked to the DSA, that's the Downtown Seattle Association. Of course, our studio is right here in downtown in Pioneer Square. It's over 150, maybe 160 businesses now that have closed for good. And I checked in with the president of the DSA, John Scholes, and the whole interview is up there on our YouTube page and on Instagram. But I had a question to him because, you know, right now downtown's struggling. It's COVID. People can't come out, everything else. But downtown is being reimagined. Believe me, it's either going to be a reimagining of what a like post-COVID kind of thing looks like, or just the grand reimagining of downtown. I asked John, you know, how important is it that you guys are including other cultures when you're talking about this reimagination of downtown? Because a lot of times, a lot of the messaging that we hear from downtown is really targeting one type of person, upper class white people. So, you know, I just put it out there. Like, is the DSA really interested in engaging with people of color in the reimagination of downtown? You just talked about downtown as a place where different people and different cultures come together. Seattle is a city of shifting demographics, and Seattle proper, of course, around King County and even further out, but especially around King County, different demographics are in the city, different cultures, different races, and some of everything else. How important is it to the Downtown Seattle Association in this reimagination that, one, they're intentional and inclusive in their communications to different ethnic groups, to different people from different backgrounds. One, about, hey, come to downtown. But two, when we talk about coming through a pandemic and building on the other side, how important is it that in creating the new traditions and rituals that are going to move forward, the different cultures are involved?
Absolutely critical. I mean, as I noted earlier, I think the more successful, interesting, desirable downtowns are the ones where there's a great mix of people, ideas, types of businesses, different types of arts and culture and experiences. You want this dynamic mix. We don't want to be the same or offer a limited number of options. We want lots of variety of folks who are downtown. I think that's what people want. That's why they come to a downtown, for an experience they can't get anywhere else, and to be around people that maybe they're not around as in their day-to-day life, in the place they work or the neighborhood they live, where maybe folks look a lot like them and have similar backgrounds as they do. I mean, in many ways, our city and region are still fairly segregated in those experiences of the types of folks we're around in a workplace and in our neighborhood. And so a downtown has a great opportunity to sort of bring down all those barriers and create this great mix, to remind us that we share this community together, we share this great city. And the downtowns that do that well, I think, are the ones that are going to be most desirable and interesting. And we want downtown Seattle to be that place. And I think in a lot of ways it has. I work the ticket booth at the holiday carousel that we've been doing for 40 plus years. We're not doing it this year in Westlake Park for obvious reasons. But when you work that ticket booth on the Friday after Thanksgiving and you're handing tickets to folks, the variety of folks and the mix of folks that you are seeing there is more diverse than I would say any other part of the city at that moment in time. And that's what I think is great about the centers of our cities. That's what they need to always be striving for, to be welcoming and open, make sure everybody feels like they belong, but also that there's an opportunity for folks to partake, to open a business, to work for one of the great employers, that people feel like they belong there and that they see opportunity. The downtowns that are able to deliver that are the ones that are going to be successful, in my mind, in the 21st century.
All right. So stayed on top of this with John Scholes. You know, the DSA says he's open. They want more people. They want inclusive people. They want to include communities of color and everything, and reimagine in Seattle. And, you know, my communication with them is be intentional in saying that. You know, people who've been intentional, Friends of the Waterfront. We see Friends of the Waterfront very intentional in their communication and saying, hey, you know, you're welcome here and everything else. And DSA, they said that this is what they want to do. They want to bring in and make sure that all communities are included in the reimagining of downtown. Any thoughts quickly, Trey, before we go to break?
Yeah, quickly, I think that this is the way to go. I agree with him wholeheartedly when you think about, you know, creating avenues for diverse activity, diverse activation. That's what really the greatest cities are known for. And when we also think about destination places and Seattle being one of those places when it comes to our travel, that's a main part of, you know, kind of Seattle's revenue. So how do we make sure that our downtown is attractive enough for a diverse, a wide range of folks who want to come? And I think he's actually right that we need to diversify it more. And I'm glad to hear this from the DSA.
All right. We're going to take a short break right now. We're running about 5 minutes late. I see Chef Brown back there. But you know what Chef Kristi Brown told me one time? She said, oh, good food takes time. So I know, Chef, we're 5 minutes late, but good TV takes time. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we're here to celebrate and uplift Chef Kristi Brown. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
My name is Kristi Brown. I am the chef goddess and co-owner of Communion Restaurant and Bar.
Good. My name is Damon Bomar. I am the general manager, co-owner, and bar program manager as well.
Really, I love being a chef because I get to feed people. And it's so important. It feeds every part of me to give people that opportunity to feast on something that's really good and cared about. I think that's super duper important. I think what I do is I put a lot of love into the food that we prepare. And so it's really a pleasure to be able to provide this access to this experience to folks. And that's the difference between doing catering. I've been doing catering for over 20 years. And so now being able to open up a restaurant and provide walk-up service to folks is exciting.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna kind of mirror what she said is the people. Honestly, I got into the game of Communion just to create a space where people could come and feel comfortable, to kind of add that spice and culture back into Seattle, especially in the Central District. You know, I think, you know, I could say a lot, but it really is just about creating a space where, you know, we can have fun, eat some good food, you know, have good spirits, you know, and really just create a vibe.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بلشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website, to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, want to thank you for all your support. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury, and I'm joined by my partner in crime. Where is she? Hey, Holiday.
Hey, what's up, Big O?
All right, so I've been super excited. I hardly slept last night. I've been tweeting like crazy and making all kinds of Instagram stories. It's the moment we've been waiting for. Oh, you please bring in Chef Kristi Brown. Hey, Chef.
Hey, you guys, that's so funny. You was dreaming about me? You was dreaming about me?
Hey, you know what? You know what, Chef Brown? It's been so much like, let's just be honest, bad news throughout 2020. And, you know, it takes a toll on us every day when you just tell people bad stuff. I'm so excited to just, man, share a little bit about your story. And like I said, we're here to celebrate you. We're here to uplift you. We're here to congratulate you.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a ton to me. I mean, that's the thing about this project. It's such an amazing experience of love inside the community that we haven't felt in a really long time. And so I'm super glad to be a major player in it, but I definitely know that it's all of our energies together that's making this happen. So yeah, it's good.
All right, so Chef, here real quick. I want to take everybody back memory lane, not too far back though, but back memory lane, because a lot of people know you from this. That Brown Girl Cooks. That Brown Girl Cooks catering, of course, the hummus. Tell us what was the catalyst for this going from the catering business to now to communion?
Honestly, I have to attribute it to Damon. Really, it's funny. I think that I remember one time one of my play daughters, she texted me and she said, "You deal with self-esteem issues too?" And I'm like, "Girl, yes." Nobody is absent of ever questioning themselves about different things. And one of the reason why I say that is because Damon, he always would say, "You make restaurant food for catering." And I was like, really? I was like, okay, I can feel that. And I gave up on being a restaurant chef a long time ago, because when I started cooking in 93 or went to culinary school in 93, Damon was little. And it was no way I could work those kind of hours that were required, in a restaurant type setting. So I would always say, if somebody walked up to me and gave me $150,000 and said, "Here, start a restaurant." And then they said, "But I got more in the back so that when you get to running and you need more money, then and they said they would be willing to give that to me." I said, "Well, shoot, somebody do that, then I'll start a restaurant. But until then, I'm gonna do catering, right?" And so it wasn't quite like that, but it kind of was, where the opportunity just met up, and it was like, okay, this is your time. Go ahead, you can do it.
Right. Trey?
Yeah, it's such a beautiful story. And honestly, the opening was so unique. I mean, there's nothing like having a DJ out there, the community, people dancing while you guys are bringing meals out to that long line. I mean, so many people wanting to support. And I just want to ask you, what does it mean to you to be now already? Like, it's like a legend in the beginning. Like, everybody is already thinking about community in that way. It's so excited for it to be such a cultural hub in the CG, like Damon said in that clip. What does that really mean to you in terms of your space now being so integral to the community?
Well, shout out to Marie today and Taylor Roden for putting on an amazing, amazing event. I really never could have done that. So I really appreciate them for coordinating everybody together. And honestly, it feels like homecoming. I grew up in the church, and I don't know, what y'all's experience with this is, but growing up, my grandmother was a pastor, and we would go down to the little towns. I was from Kansas City. We would go down to Sedalia or, wherever, Columbia, and go to homecoming. And that's really what it felt like. Like, you had to dress up. It was a big deal. There was a lot of history involved with homecoming. But you always ended up having a good meal. And that's really what the opening felt like. I was just so grateful to be present. I wasn't worried. My staff, I could shout out so many different people. But it was just an amazing time to be celebrated and to celebrate. We, like you said, Omari, earlier, like this year, honestly, this has been one of the best years of my life, right? But I don't take that for granted because even right now, dealing with illness and family, with COVID and everything, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. And I'm so grateful to be the joy. Joy doesn't have nothing to do with how you feel. Don't have nothing to do with the circumstances. You got to claim your joy. And so this is an opportunity, not for me to just claim joy, but for other people too. It's more than just about food. People are hungry, and they're hungry for things that cannot always be articulated. And because food is so spiritual, you get that experience through food. And I can understand why people are so happy. But when people were telling me, like, 6 months ago, Chef, I'm hungry, when you gonna open? I'm like, dog, you hungry, you better go eat, because you got a little while to go. But like, knowing that that's not what they're hungry for. They're hungry for that feeling of home. They're hungry for that feeling of knowing that they're not gonna get turned away because of what they got on and how they, all of that kind of stuff that we have become accustomed to. You're not welcome everywhere. I don't care what other people want to think about that, but we really are not welcomed everywhere. And so to have another place where we feel welcome in the CD is a big deal.
Right. Chef Brown, I'm sure this came up a lot of times this year as well. As people were like, well, man, why are you opening during a pandemic? But a lot of people might not realize that this is a journey that actually started years ago. It wasn't like you just popped up like a few months ago and said, hey, I want to open this business right now in the middle of this pandemic. This is a long journey. It's a long ways to get here. And I want you to tell everybody that long journey culminated in this moment. What was this moment like for you, cutting that ribbon?
It was really just a moment of completion and beginning. I feel like this, to me, opening up this restaurant has been like getting married and having a baby all at the same time. And it was like, we did it. We did it. And we did it together. Like, Damon is the consummate business partner. Like, I don't know how we do it together, but man, it's magical. And we really did do that together. So even holding the scissors and all that kind of stuff, that's how we do work every day.
And real quick, I know Trey has another question for you, but real quick, and you brought up Damon. Some people in our viewing audience might not know who you're referring to when you say Damon, but I'm gonna allow you to explain and share this moment. Explain how you felt this moment as well.
That's so good. You're good. Man, just pure joy. Like, you can envision and imagine what you want things to look at. You can draw, you can talk about it, but when it actually happens, it's such a good feeling. And then I think one of the things that guides us really greatly is the ancestors, man. Listen, they are all on us and through us on this thing from the beginning to the end. Thinking about, I remember when we talked to Wyking about this process, and at the time, my grandfather-in-law was living, and we were rolling up to the Key Bank. I was like, Daddy, we're going to have a restaurant here. And he was like, and it was just like, he was older, and he was like, and we knew the building was going to get knocked down, all that kind of stuff. But, just having, that, like, our social media person, her name is Amber. Shout out to Amber. She found an amazing picture of the beginning of Liberty Bank building. And I was just like, man, like, you want to build something that's going to last. And we told the architects, like, we want a design that's going to be beautiful for 50 years from now, because we plan on being here. So when you have that kind of, mantle on your shoulder, but being lifted at the same time, it's just amazing. And so one of the things about this process is that I knew that whatever business I had, I wanted it to be a legacy. I wanted it to be something that my children would have after I was gone. I would shop in Chinatown because I was on food stamps and I needed to make that work. I needed to stretch it. And I would go down, and I remember the switch. It happened, it happened maybe about 20 years ago, where all of a sudden I started seeing the kids working in the shops that I had been shopping at for a while with the older people. And I saw them just coming and working, and they would work. And then, like, eventually I saw them take over, and then you see the upgrade of technology and stuff like that. And so, like, that's what I wanted, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't get to see that in Black families so much, especially look at the Central District. We're living here and we see these businesses and stuff, but then they go away because either the kids don't want to be involved with it, or there's not enough money to make it make sense for the kids to become involved with it. So it's just like, I know, the ideal of everybody got to eat comes from me figuring out what can I do that's going to last, and people always be hungry, and so that was really the impetus for me to do what I did. And then just having him be a part of all of that, and then knowing that he was touched and moved in that moment, it just was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a real beautiful moment. And I think that, when we talk about the needs in community, you're right. It goes beyond the food. It was a strong desire to be able to commune together. And I think COVID is pushing that even further. But the fact that people are still lining up to get that food and ordering from communion, even though they can't sit inside. How is that feeling now that you've opened, people are ordering? It's real, it's actualized. And I want to ask you about the new customers, the folks that are just learning about your black eyed pea hummus and those amazing dishes that so many of us got used to throughout Seattle and beyond with your catering business. How is it now building with these new customers that are getting to know you and who you are?
Well, it's interesting. It is interesting, but it's kind of a twofold thing. With catering, we did a ton of corporate catering. So we serve people all over the city, all over the state, really. And so we have a wide variety of customer base. And so it was really interesting. Last year, I did an event with GSBA. It was one of their larger events. And while I was in line, there was a ton of people coming through the line like, oh, you're going to be in my neighborhood. You're going to be in my neighborhood. And I was like, it just made me sad. I'll be honest. It made me sad. Like, I'm glad you going to be excited to come and stuff like that. But I lived in the CD for 13 years. My last stint, and then like a few years before that. So, knowing that my neighborhood wasn't my neighborhood anymore, was interesting. And then somebody on like last weekend came up and was like, welcome to the neighborhood. And I was like, I didn't do it. We did it. I remember a long time ago. That's when I first got married. And yeah, his neighbor, we moved into the house and his neighbor said the same thing. And he said, no, you welcome to my neighborhood because we've been living here for 40 years. Yeah. And it was like, but I didn't want to do that because I'm not, I know what this is. And we're bringing it back. And so it's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. We can all be here together. Just as long as you don't try to keep me from doing what I'm doing, then we be all right.
That's right.
Right. Chef Brown, one of the other reasons, we have so many reasons to be so proud of you, to be honest. But one of the things that brings me a lot of pride and brought me a lot of pride about our community was really when we were at this space back in March and April. And we heard a lot of the stories in across the city of different organizations helping to feed their community. A lot of stuff made the news and things like that. But in our community, It brought so much pride that people like yourself, Chef Tariq, the deaf chef, stepped up to feed people in our community, those most vulnerable that just basically needed food. Tell us a little bit about those efforts and what you still have going on.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought this up because we're at an interesting juncture right now. For those that follow Community Kitchen, we hadn't been able to do it the last week, and I think that we're gonna probably discontinue it until the end of the year. But that's only as a small respite because we need to find volunteers. The need is there, and one of the interesting things Chef Tarek and I have talked about this many times is connecting the food with the people that really need it. It's been a challenge, and I think it's a challenge not only with us but with larger organizations too. But we know that the need is out there. You're at home with your kids all day when you used to be at work all day and the school would feed them, or you'd send them a lunch. You can't feed them cats enough food. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want people like that to know that we exist for that reason. It's not just for you homeless and you need food. I mean, you homeless, you need food. I'm not mad at you. Come get it. But we just knew that within this system, with COVID and everything, that it was going to make everything exponentially harder on families, and we wanted to provide that resource because that's what we do. Like, that's the whole reason why we do it. We don't do this. You do not get into food for money. Nobody's sitting around here balling, right? Just by food alone. So, I think it was just on all of our hearts to just feel the need of what we were already doing, and just being able to just purely focus on feeding folks for like 8 months straight before the restaurant was wonderful, and want to continue to do that. So right now, we'll be putting out ads this week, but we're looking for some permanent volunteers to be able to work the window, to be able to pass out the food. We're be looking for drivers to be able to deliver food to encampments and different communities that need it. Because sometimes, like, it's the access, right? Like, so you and Kent, you want to come and get the food, but you ain't got no way to get all the way out there to just get a meal. That's not enough. So trying to figure out ways to get that food to people. And that's what we're going to be shouting out so that we can get more support, because we plan on doing this as a mainstay indefinitely. This is a part of our business now. So really,
Right.
really excited about that.
And Chef Kristi and Trey, I know you also have another question too. But we got a special guest here. But before I bring this guest out, I know you touched a little bit.
I just want to say for a second, Ron Sims and his wife are outside. This is the goodness. This is the goodness.
Everybody's there to see you. I want to bring up this picture right here. We talked a little bit about the Liberty Bank building a few minutes ago. But, this was a great photo right here, KUOW. And, there's a sense of pride that we see here in this photo. Of course, you and the restaurant, and it's almost like a sense of pride as well, standing in front of this major accomplishment for our community, the Liberty Bank building. Oya, can you please bring our guest in? And so we got a guest here who wanted to also congratulate you on air.
Hey.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Get yourself off mute, Wyking.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you. More than anything, right? Is thank you, because you put it all on the line. You took a risk. Everyone knows that restaurants are some of the hardest businesses, brand new, in a pandemic, so my thing is just, thank you so much for, stepping forward and bringing all of, your power and your, years of blood, sweat, and tears, to invest it in, this corner and in our community. I think that's it's an honor, and it's proof that we have a future, right? It's changing the narrative that we have a future in this community, in this city. A Black Renaissance is bubbling, right? From down the street, the Postman, and everything, all the way up to what's going to open across the street, Africatown Plaza. Earl's is still there. Cafe Evol is coming. But we know this is the cornerstone. There always has to be a cornerstone this is our cornerstone right now, and you know, it's also proof. You know, it's just again, and it just that Sankofa principle of the phoenix. You know, the Egyptian phoenix, that African symbol of us rising again from our ashes. The phoenix rising from the ashes, and our community rising. You know, from all of the things that we have gone through that have, you know, been barriers or obstacles, but we're still, you know, as the great queen, you know, Maya Angelou said, still I rise, you know, still we rise, and we rise through you, right? And so, you know, and it's proof that family can do business, right? There's that whole other narrative that, you know, family can't do business together. Don't do business with your family, right? And this is proof that, you know, mother-son dynamic duo, you know, from the community, carrying on legacies of Miss Helen's, of Thompson's point of view, of the Silver Fork. You know, we haven't had a place in a while. You know, people, you know, gotta go to Bahama Breeze, and, you know, depending on your budget,
Hold on.
Applebee's.
I always want to shout out, because I feel like it's a really, really important, especially because we hear that a lot. And that's, you know, when you got cats like Theo out here with Island Soul, when you got Bikini, when you got Donna.
You cut me off before I got Island Soul, but I'm talking about in the CD right now. I'm talking
it's true. Okay, it's true.
You know,
All right.
okay, where it all
I know.
That's what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Kristi, if I could jump in here real quick, Chef, as we're winding down the last 10 minutes here, the Africatown Community Land Trust, Liberty Bank Building, maybe you can talk about the support that you got from inside community as far as this journey to communion landing there inside the Liberty Bank Building.
So much support. It's been amazing. Just from, you know, the conversations that Wyking and Africatown were having at the time to bring up our name, really inside of these conversations about what do we want the CD to look like? Who do we want to see there? You know, so being a part of that gained a lot of support with the city. They started the process with us through a lot of different types of funding to make it accessible to us. This is a $1.5 million build out. And I don't think a lot of people really understand like what it takes to be able to like manage a process like that. So it definitely takes many, many arms to stand on to be able to do that. Bird Bar has been essential in that conversation around that. Community Roots really stepped up to the plate to meet where we are. It's typical for a build out for a landlord to give money towards your build out. Tenant improvements dollars is what they call it. But they were very generous and made sure to advocate for us through the process with the city. So a lot of that funding. I'm trying to think. It's been so many organizations. And then as of late, Amazon actually stepped up to the plate. And we're excited about that conversation because not only are they supporting us, but we're also looking for ways for them to support other people because, you know, that's what it's going to take. If you want to be a good neighbor, you got to get that support out to the mass, you know, the masses of businesses they're trying to survive through this time because, you know, it's disheartening to see how many people have failed during this time, people that I never thought would. And so it's just been wonderful to have the support that we have had to be able to get these doors open and keep them open, you know, because it's not enough to just get them open. You got to keep them open.
Trey Holiday?
Yeah, well, I just love what you said there because, again, I think what you just highlighted is the community approach. When we talk about, okay, you got this funding from Amazon, but immediately you were like, wait a minute, that can't be a one-off. And wait a minute, what about all of these other amazing businesses here? And also bringing Wyking in. I love that because, you know, Build Africatown has had a real vision when we didn't see ourselves in the 2035 plan. I want to ask you about the future of community, like you just said, being there for 50, 100 plus years. I'm excited at the expansion of it. What are some of the activities once we're done with COVID that you guys are hoping that this space can kind of bring about? Again, going back to that kind of community cultural roots approach that you guys have had.
Well, it's interesting because the thing is like we started the base, right? So our base is that brown girl cooks. We still holding on. You know, I'm not messing around. I'm not messing around. When the .com crash came, I had to close down that brown girl catering, and it was hurtful, you know, because I saw other people thriving, and it was all about access to capital. So our continued vision is that brown girl will come back, definitely rising from the ashes, because catering is ashes right now. But bringing that back. Then we got Brown Liquor Cocktail Company. You know, that was birthed shortly before COVID, you know, and Damon is really committed to providing amazing cocktails and doing that. Then we got that Brown Girl Cooks Black Eyed Pea Hummus. We coming at you February. We gonna be ready for you. And we already selling it in the cooler now. So if you need your fix, you can come on and get it, because we selling it here. You can get containers here. So we plan on being back in the stores by February. And then with communion, man, I mean, we can't wait to be able to have people come and sit down. I'm sitting at a table right now. It's our communion table. Is a little junky right now with all my stuff, but that table is here so that people can come and sit down. And we wanted to be able to host conversations. You know, one of the things we say is food brings people together. And we want to bring them together for a purpose. So you be here. We don't want to be at just tables of people, like big groups. We want it to be like, you know, 2 or 3 people coming together. They may not be in the same party, but be able to come and, you know, strike up conversations, have card games where we, you know, get people to talking to one another. Because that's the thing about me is like, I'm hella Black and I'm hella Seattle, right? And I also, you know, have hella white clientele, hella like people from all different cultures all over the world that have patronized me over the years. And I care about all the communities that I'm in. And so I want people to be able to come together. And when I said I want the millionaire to be able to sit together with the homie and everybody have a good time, I actually meant that. You know, and so we definitely will look forward to that. It's been fun having some of the old cats come by and be like, where's your stage at? Where you gonna have the music at? You know, so we gonna do all the things. And then we set it up perfectly for to be able to do, you know, classes and stuff. So got an audience, want people to learn, because it's cool to be able to feed people, but it's really great to be able to teach people how to cook for themselves. And I don't think it's not a far-fetched idea. Damon's got all kind of ideas of what he wants to do with the drinks and the bar and stuff. So we just making sure that right now, want to say for all the people that came out, know it was challenging because of the timing thing. And, you know, I'm learning. I ain't got no problem telling you I'm a catering chef turning into a restaurant chef. Sometimes you just gonna have to wait. But I think we're getting it down. We had an excellent weekend and got the timings down and stuff. So appreciate all those folks that waited, because the opening was hectic. And just want to make sure folks know that we're out here doing our best to provide the most excellent service that we can possibly provide all the way around.
Well, I'll tell you this much. The food was definitely worth the wait. So thank you.
Chef Brown, I'm sorry, Chef Brown, before we let you go, I know we got a hard stop here. I wanted to go around the horn, and we'll start with Wyking, and then myself, then Treyana, and then you. I want to ask everybody, what's the one dish from communion that you love or you're going to recommend to a friend that goes there? I'll start with you, Wyking.
That's easy. You know, that corn salmon chowder is, you know what I mean, top of the list. And I'm going to throw the root cakes, root vegetable cakes in there with them.
Go.
All right. I'd say for me, it's that chicken, the roasted chicken. I get the itis every time. I know I'm going to sleep after that.
For me, I just got to say, hands down to the Hood sushi with the watermelon hot sauce all day. Shout out to my girl K-May giving me the history on the Hood sushi. Love it. Seattle soul at its best.
Oh man, what's my favorite? I'm working on this old fun. That's my heart right there. I love soup. So definitely just getting all those flavors together just make me happy. So yeah, I'm with the Odafa.
All right, Chef Brown, before we let you go, please tell everybody how the hours of operation, how they can order, and everything else.
Okay, so one, we're located 2350 East Union Street. We're open Wednesday through Saturday, 3 to 9, and on Sunday from 1 to 6. You can order online at communionseattle.com, and that's something new that we're doing where we're doing online orders now just to work on that timing thing. So if you're not familiar, you got questions, please feel free to reach out via email. That's probably the best way, and we'll get right back to you.
Chef Kristi Brown, and I know I speak on behalf of my colleagues here on screen, everybody over here in Converge, and a grateful community. Chef Brown, we love you. We adore you. We're so happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate this. This was great.
The Morning Update Show continues.
I think about the story, when I think about what makes communion special, I think about the story of my mother and I moving to Seattle in 85? I think it was the summer of 85. And we didn't know where to go to get Black food. We didn't know where to go to get cornbread, greens, any of that kind of thing. And it was just so frustrating. And so when somebody was like, hey, go up there on 23rd and Jackson, you can go to the Red Apple. And it was like, oh, and we walked in, we were so super happy, like walking through the aisles, hey, there's some cornbread, hey, there's this and that. And for people that have been, previously from other places and moved here to Seattle, we know that through our catering, that we've been a beacon of light for folks to be like, hey, we're here. And I think that this corner is so significant for that very reason, to let people know that we are here and we are not going anywhere. And so I think that communion is significant for me in that way, to just be able to provide a space. The first night we had the soft opening and people came through and were able to sit on the patio, and it was just like, especially right now, right? Like during COVID, and being able to make sure that folks have a place to commune together is everything. And there's nothing like it in the city. And although there are many other Black-owned restaurants, and we are so proud to be a part of that community, we know that this is significant because of our location and because of where we are. So I think that's just a big deal.
Oh man, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury, and
Hi, y'all. Trey Holiday.
Trey, man, this week, man, we've been needing this show.
Oh.
We've been needing today's show, right?
Oh, thank you so much, Omari. This was a beautiful, beautiful show. And honestly, I love when this platform is used to elevate those beautiful stories in our community, man. It's just brilliant, because you're right. We've been having to report on all of the stuff, man. So thank you for that upliftment, my friend.
Yep. And man, we want to encourage our viewers out there, support Communion. You can go to Communion Seattle. You know what I'm saying? Let's support this business. Let's be intentional in where we spend our money. And man, let's continue to uplift our community for sure. Any last words before we get out of here today, Trey?
You know what? I'm just excited. I'm going to tell you right now, all that talk of food got me ready to eat. So I'm going to have to look up Communion and put my order in, bro.
That's what's up. Well, from my side, wow. I mean, just what a pie. I can't help but have an outstanding day today. And just some notes, we're going to stay on top of everything down here in Olympia with the governors rolling out. So we'll be updating you with that throughout the week. Until tomorrow, at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.